Welcome, welcome. Right? Was that 0? Welcome, welcome. We are ready to rock and roll them. So we have trench coats tonight. And I was just asking everybody what they generally thought of trench coats. And of course, our beloved cameraman said, and I quote, all the used car salesmen wear trench coats. And so on a rainy day, when you go to look for a car, all they come out in is trench coats. And is that to be more successful, right? They wear a trench coat. So if you are a car salesman and you want to be more successful, this webcast is for you. Okay. The trench coat, we just can't get away from it. It started many years ago. World War I's trench coats started. And sincerely, if you made one style, one fashion that was just acceptable all the way across the board, it would be a trench coat. The reason I want to I had this as the pattern of the month, September. Happy fall, everybody. It's the first day of fall today. September is National Sewing Month. This is the month for the trench coat, if we're ever going to do it. And I recognize many of you are a little overwhelmed, intimidated, whatever you want to call it, about a trench coat. My goal is to make it simple. We're going to talk about fit. We're going to talk about styling. And I just really want to knock it out of the park for you. We've got so many great fabrics and so many great ideas. So that means we're going to start with, guess who's here tonight? Belinda.
Hey.
Hey, Belinda.
Hi.
So the reason I wanted, welcome. The reason I wanted Belinda here is because you've seen a lot of fitting, is that fair? Slashing,
Sure.
Pinning,
Lots of
all
that.
those problems. But I want you to transfer to a trench coat. And the reason why is because many of you have asked me and think that if you slash one, you slash them all. And that is not the case. There is a t-shirt, there is a blouse, there is a jacket. And each of those, just like the pants, each of those are different, and they're built differently. So the trench coat, this is what she had. She made it up. We'll ask her about it in a minute. But it has a center back seam, and that center back seam has depth and darting and fit, unlike a blouse.
Yes.
So she said to me, how come I don't have to slash the back? Because the base pattern is different.
Okay.
So don't conclude that if you have to slash a blouse, you'll have to slash a jacket. I really think, I don't know that I've slashed very many of our jackets at all.
I think I had pre-slashed jackets from fittings that I had done.
Pre-slashed? Slashed them ahead of the
muslin?
muslin?
Yes, ahead of the muslin.
I told her not to make any changes on this.
And I didn't. The only change I made was
what size did you do?
I did the 3 at the shoulders and 4 everywhere else.
Okay, so when did you blend to the 4? At the bust?
At the bust.
So you came out to a 4, which changed your armhole size.
Yes, I started with the 3 armhole because I've been using a size 3 sleeve.
And then you used your 3 template and you redrew it.
That is correct.
Yay, Melinda!
I used the template from the actual...
Everyone's clapping behind the camera.
Yeah. From the trench coat pattern I did.
Okay, so good news. If you'll grab those pins for me. Sorry, I forgot to get those before we started. My weapon of pins. Let's drape. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to have you face them.
Okay.
And I'll work around you. And I'm just going to, she's got center front marked, which is a grand idea, because I'm going to pin center, especially because this trench coat is a double-breasted. And if you have the center front marked, I can reach in and pin that center front closed. And that way you'll know exactly how full it's going to feel on you. How does that feel?
Feels good.
Feels like it's the right size?
Mm-hmm.
So did you go 4 because you measured something, or did you go 4 just because you didn't want it to be too small?
No, I went 4 because I knew that if it was going to fit over a jacket or other clothing that's a size 4,
you're so
that
smart.
I would want to have a 4
Where'd
at the bust.
you learn all this?
I don't know.
You're so smart. That's such common sense thinking.
Yeah.
I don't even know that. You are smart. I don't even know that it's smart as much as it's just logical. It's just really logical, and that's really where I think I've been trying to get you guys to do or think. We've had so many rules given us over the year that are not logical, and when we think about them, we say, well, that doesn't even make sense. Why did I do that all those years? Good question. So when we start to really understand the logistics of it all, we start to be more logical, and we just start to naturally have more success. Okay, so then this has a French dart.
Yes.
So you didn't stitch it up far enough. Do you see that?
Oh, I know that.
Okay, so
Which was really strange.
Did you go
for
by
me.
the pattern?
I went exactly by the pattern.
And there was no dot?
There was a dot. I sewed it to the dot.
You did? There's no dot on my pattern that's higher.
Well, it was...
If your pattern doesn't have a dot...
Mine had a dot, but it didn't seem like it was very high. Because that's where I started it.
Okay, so go up. Obviously that length of the garment has to be within the bust circle. And you can see that I probably pinned it a little too maturely. I'll show you on the other side. I was just so excited to start draping. This is so pretty on you. It's really pretty. And you know, without this French dart, clearly when I did this, and this is pattern 1925, it's Barbara's Trench, which is the pattern of the month. I've told you the guys this story. I went to Saks Fifth Avenue. I bought a Burberry trench. I told the woman that I was a pattern maker. I owned a company. I was just getting the jacket to copy it. She gave me her card. She said, no problem, bring it back. I'm here tomorrow at these hours. She was so accommodating. I'm not sure she really heard what I said, but hey, I went with it. So I took it home because there were so many details that I really wanted to get just right. The only difference is that this has a French dart. I just couldn't put a trench coat out there that doesn't have a French dart because they're just so boxy, and that French dart is so beautiful. It just really gives a defining edge there. You want to make sure the dart ends in the bust circle. Let's go back on this side. And if you can see, just to the camera there, you can kind of see there's a bulk, an extra there. And that's simply because that dart just isn't coming up far enough. So regardless of what the pattern says, we're going to just...
Because I was kind of surprised.
I told her not to make any changes, and she obeyed.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because I usually have to lengthen above the bust. So I was really surprised when
I think something's just marked wrong on the pattern. I don't know. What size did you use?
3,
4,
4, D.
D cut? I don't know. We won't pull it out. We'll just trust her word. But just, you know, if you go to put it on and you've stitched the dart on the pattern, you can see that just cleans it up really nicely. Go ahead and just stitch it up until it's within the bust circle. Anywhere within the bust circle is pretty, and that's just gorgeous. You don't need anything on this. Wow, that is just really pretty. Okay, so you can see how nicely it fits across here. If she were to put a collar in, that collar would go around her neck. It would not shoot up to the sky. So again, because jackets have more depth in the back of them, that's why we're not needing to do the slash, the forward shoulder, because all of that is working for what she needs it to be. It doesn't mean if you slash the blouse, you won't need to slash the jacket. The point being is don't automatically on a jacket. Is that a fair conclusion?
Yes.
What else do you want to talk about? That is so pretty on you.
Thank you.
It's really pretty. Have you made a trench coat at all?
I have not made the trench coat at all.
All right, she's ready though, right?
I am going to.
Okay.
Yes, I've got it.
All right, you have to pipe in on anything that you see or have questions on, because she has good questions. Okay.
Well, one of the questions I had asked you was, you know, in logic, I'm thinking, okay, if I already had the forward shoulder on the blouse, why do I not have the forward shoulder on a jacket or on this?
So forward shoulder is what, length, circumference, or depth?
It's a depth issue.
That's right.
It is a depth issue, but I guess where I was kind of confused is, I'm assuming on a jacket that has a shoulder pad, that shoulder pad needs to land over that where my shoulder is.
It does, but it has a greater error factor when there's a shoulder pad, because it doesn't have to be as exact as it has to be on a blouse or on a t-shirt.
Okay.
So I've got a more exact area to hit your mark, and I've also got more depth in the back, and so it's allowing that shoulder to come forward a little bit because there's more depth.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense then. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I knew that was kind of, you know.
She asked me that before the webcast, and I shot an answer at her, and she said, that doesn't make sense. So I just was rushing around like crazy beforehand. So does that make more sense? Do you understand
It does make more sense. Like I said, I was thinking more logic from the standpoint of pattern making. You know, if you start with your basic sloper, I'm assuming all the angles are the same on the basic sloper, but once you do the shoulder
not necessarily true, because on a blouse you take that basic dart and you move it to the bottom, and on a jacket you leave it up.
Okay.
So that's why it changes.
Okay. And I'm probably not thinking about that shoulder dart that's on the basic slope.
That shoulder dart on that basic, you guys, is pretty critical. Where it goes, what you do with it, etc., etc. Okay.
That makes sense.
All right. So again, she's just going to hang and ask questions because she's been through this process. But what I want you to understand is the last thing you should do on this particular pattern is worry about fit. I'm telling you, it's there. It's just a home run. It's going to be very simple for you.
I can't imagine. No more fitting than that.
I know. It fits really well. And honestly, I've had it all across the board in lots and lots of workshops because I keep getting this. I'm sorry, you guys. Hair in my mouth. Lots of workshops because women are so nervous about the fit and they want to make sure it's okay. It's okay. It's going to be great. And all you have to do really to do this muslin is 2 pieces. It's the front and the back. That's it. You can do the sleeve, but if you do a jacket sleeve and if you change the pitch of the front, then just change it the same.
Okay.
You don't need to remake the sleeve. Your angle is going to be the same.
Okay.
Okay? So nicely done. So that means what we get to do is talk about styling. But let's answer questions before we do that. If you need to slash the trench coat, do you think it might be a smaller slash than the classic blouse? So what we're doing here is speculating, and you guys know I hate to speculate.
But I'm the slash queen.
Yeah,
and
she
I
had
have
2
no
slashes,
slash.
you guys.
I would probably,
So just don't, when you're talking about depth, just make a muslin. It's only a front and a back, and try not to speculate. It's not that big a deal if you have to fix it. So just...
Yeah, but if you go back and watch the fitting of the black classic blouse on me and look at all the slashing we had to do and then look at this.
Bad.
Yeah,
it's not that
but
bad. There was only 2 slashes.
2, but there's none.
Is her wearable, is that her wearable muslin?
Yes,
You gonna make this into a trench coat?
No, this is not my color.
Oh, so wearable muslin means you'll actually finish it.
Yes.
So
yes, this is not the wearable muslin.
This is not a wearable muslin.
No,
she
this
doesn't
is,
like the fabric.
No, this is leftover upholstery fabric that I had.
So she's truly gone with the wind. Scarlett O'Hara.
I am Scarlett O'Hara.
She's wearing her drapes.
This will be my pattern.
Oh, okay. So she's going to use that as her pattern.
She's
going
to
to take out the darts
as my pattern.
Got it.
That's what I do.
Okay. What type of fabric is she using? Well, that's just a cotton.
It's just a cotton.
Just a drape.
Yeah.
Has she increased the seam allowance at her shoulders?
Yes. I actually put 2 inches.
She looks like a bird.
Yes, I do. I actually went with a 2-inch seam allowance.
Because she was afraid she was going to have to move them forward.
Yeah, because... Yeah.
So she was preparing for the worst.
I was preparing
and came
for
out
the worst.
with the best.
That's
How
it.
about that?
Yeah.
Yay.
That's great.
Has she already lined the coat, or is it a double face fabric?
No,
you guys.
but look how what a double face would do.
Yeah.
If you have a great double face fabric, this is perfect. Simple.
Yeah, it is cute. Very simple. Like
simple.
what I have on. Gee, how about that?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go into styling. All right, so Mr. Benjamin, we're going to start with some photos. Because the first thing I want to do is I just want to give you kind of an awareness as to what's going on out there. Just if you haven't seen what's happening, so that you can. Melody sent this to me. This is just a cute little short jacket. This is a trench, just literally cut short, all kinds of fun things done to it. We're going to cover that in a little bit. The next one is just it on the body and just showing you, pairing it, the yellows, the blacks, the oranges, all these great fall colors are really, really nice. All right. So I want you to look at this because this is a Burberry. I want you to look at the price. And it's on sale. What a bargain. But I do want you to notice some things about this because every trench coat's a little bit different, but I want to go to the classics and then we'll pair back from there. Okay, so the first thing I want you to notice about this is notice the sleeves and where they match the trench. So notice that plaid box comes right in, right about, mid armhole. At the top or mid armhole. So when you're laying out a plaid, the best thing to do is have that box come in right there. And I say box because that is what we call a symmetrical plaid. So turning it either direction will be the same. It's much easier to work with than when you go into an uneven plaid. When you go into an uneven plaid, and you'll see that the spaces between the width and the the width and the length are different, where these are the same, and you've just got to allow much more fabric. So this is a plaid, but it's an even plaid, and that's good news. And you can see those sleeves match all the way down. The next thing I want you to notice on this is the collar. And if you notice, the collar is straight of grain. I've done all this in a plaid, so I'm going to show it all to you, but I just want you to notice this on this, what, $3,000 coat, I think it is? All right, so if you need 3 yards of fabric, it'd have to be pretty expensive fabric to get to $3,000. So you guys know that we save lots of money when we make trench coats. So the collar, if you'll notice, is straight of grain. And again, I'll show you that, but I want you to see it on this. But mostly what I want you to notice is the pockets. Typically on a welt pocket is a bias. This is not. It's actually done exactly to match the fabric so that you don't even see those pockets, and they literally go right along with the plaid. When you go to do this, you cut the coat out first, then just lay a square. When you cut that welt piece, just lay it over where the welt is supposed to go and just manipulate it until it actually matches. It's actually really much easier to do than probably what it sounds. I'll walk you through it here a little bit later. I've got a plaid that I've done that I'll show you how to do the matching, but I just wanted you to notice these parts. Now again, this isn't a Burberry, this is the classic, this is top of the line, although we see that if we go to the next photo, so this is, I don't know who made this coat for Miss Markle. I guess I should say Duchess Markle. But I do want you to notice a couple things. I want you to notice the pockets, if you can, and notice they do not match here, even on this, I'm sure, very pricey trench coat. There are 2 shields on this trench coat, and personally, I just don't like that. I love a shield on a trench coat, but I really, if you're going to do it to duplicate it, the shield holds a purpose, and maybe I'm too much of a purist to just double up on that. I don't know, I just don't like it. And I'll show you the function of that shield here in a little bit. But anyway, I just wanted you to notice the pocket difference, and of course the sleeves still match. And then if we go to the next one, I looked to try to see that designer and I could not see who it is. So again, notice that collar, and the reason I took this close up is it is on straight of grain. The center back is on straight of grain, so by the time it wraps around the front, it does not match any of the plaids anywhere else on the jacket, and that's very typical of trench coats, just so you're aware. And notice with that double shield, it just, to me, it looks real sloppy across the top, even though I love the trench coat, love the color, love everything about it. I just think it looks like it's too much up there. All right, next. All right, so here I want you to see that this is, I want you to notice the designer, I want you to notice the price, and I want you to notice how nothing matches. Because you can pay a lot of money for a trench coat and it doesn't match. And I just think that, I don't know.
Sloppy.
Oh, sloppy, home sewn.
Yeah,
worse than
sloppy.
Home sewn. And I can't imagine, that one had to pass under the radar of Marc Jacobs. I can't imagine that we gave a big thumbs down on that one. Mm-hmm. And again, it's just that it's, if it weren't red, even if they didn't match it close, I don't know. I just think it's terrible, but just be aware of that. But there's ways, I'm going to show you some ways to get around matching. If you just feel like you don't have the patience to match, hang on, and we're going to show you a couple coats and make this easy for you. Okay? Here's another one where you see that side seam. That just drove me crazy. I mean, just, it doesn't match in any way, shape, or form. It's not even close. They didn't even try. I mean, if you're an 1/8 of an inch off, you get credit, but this is bad. But again, it's your coat, your deal. But just be aware, I'm going to show you and give you some tips that are so easy to match this trench coat that there's just no reason to walk around like this. And that's another one, just terrible. To me, pretty bad. So, I wanted to show you this blouse because this is our new blouse. This is $7.19, not literally our new blouse, but it's just really similar to our blouse. And they're wearing it so much under trench coats. A lot of the trench coats that I saw, the photos that I saw, I was surprised how many of them had this blouse underneath. So I went ahead and left up some of our new blouses under the trench coats so you can kind of see the blending of those styles together. It's very nice. It's really pretty. That almost looks like a scarf under the trench coat. Okay, so fur, this real or faux, whichever you decide to use, but this is a faux. And this is a great way to relieve having to match. You have to match the bottom, and I'm going to tell you, we're going to talk about how to do that. but you couldn't even see if that sleeve came into the right place or not, and you just wouldn't have to sweat the details. So you do the lapel in a fur and you do the collar in a fur. And with those two things done, you don't even have to worry about the match. The only thing you have to match is the hems, and I'll talk about that. Okay, could we see under the arm? Oh, I probably missed that. But, under Belinda's arm? Sure. Belinda, we want to see under your arm. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're looking for, but it looks really good. When you have a muslin and you've made adjustments, how do you use the muslin as your pattern? That's a good question. Why don't you take care of that one?
Okay, so what I do once we've got all the fits done, I draw my 3/8 inch seam allowance from the stitching line.
Okay.
I cut there, so now I've got trued seam allowances, and I take it all apart and actually use it as the pattern on my fabric, my fashion fabric.
So that would be the shoulder seam?
That would be on this, it would be the shoulder seam and the side seams.
She did not leave any extra seam allowance on the back, so she wouldn't have any changes to the back. So it's here. You only need one front and one back. You don't need to do this to both sides. So she would do the shoulder seam, she would do the side seam, she would take out the French dart, although she would mark this before.
I would mark the new
She
dart.
took it away because now she's got it draped.
Right.
And that's her pattern.
And that's it.
All right, pretty simple.
And I have found that when I do that, the fabric from the muslins tend to hold, grabs the fabric, the fashion fabric before you cut it. It makes it so much simpler than working with the tissue.
Yeah, you really don't even need pins. Yeah. If you've never tried it, I don't think you'll go back to tissue. Tissue is so much more difficult to work with.
I mean, you don't hardly have to have even weights.
Yeah.
When you're using fabric as your pattern.
That would be a testimonial.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
okay.
great.
All right, so then let's go back to our photos. And then we have fur, and I wanted to show you this because fur is just really incredibly popular. Notice the length on this, and so you guys, whenever you're doing it for yourself, you're going to be taking length off the bottom, but you can take it all off the bottom. What I want you to notice is, look at this one. It's called a car coat length generally, and if you notice her hand, right where her hand comes in, it just literally grips the bottom. And so that's all you want to do. You can make it longer, a little longer if you want, then put the sleeves in, put it on, and then before you cut it off, just kind of put your hand down, grab the bottom of the coat, and know that that's the length it should be. Be sure to add a hem in, and you're good to go. You'll get the exact same look. It is a great look for fall. It simply is, I don't care where you're going, all you have to throw on is some little leggings and a white t-shirt, and you are out the door. This looks really good. Okay, I wanted to show you this because, again, I'm seeing this a lot in fall in the trench coat, is where we're using two different fabrics. And I love this. It's just two fabrics, any two fabrics, whatever you want. How much is that jacket? Tab, can you see? $890. $900. You got to pay tax and shipping. All right, so anyway, when you have those two different fabrics like that, I just love it. So if you've got two fabrics that you really like that are coordinating, put them together. It could be a fur on the collar. It could be a leather. But you can see that the net result is, I think the matching is not as critical. And so it kind of gives you a little bit of relief of having to do everything exactly right.
You could almost do a reversible coat like that.
You could.
Since there's no buttons and things, that would be so easy.
You know what was interesting? There was a survey taken, I don't remember the name of the ready-to-wear line. But they took a survey on reversible garments and how many bought reversible garments and how many would buy it because it was reversible, and all those numbers. Well, all those numbers were very, very high. And then they asked him, how many times have you worn your reversible garment reversed? And the percent was so low, it was hysterical. It's something that we buy or that we think of because it's just makes sense. It's so common sense, but we actually find that we like it on one side and we don't ever wear it on the other side.
And see, I have that issue with capsule garments, capsule wardrobes, because well, I was never taught in the past to do capsule garments, and so when I would have a jacket, it would be for a specific outfit. So I'm having to broaden my thought process on that.
Good,
so,
that's a good one.
But yeah,
and if you hang up pictures, it'll help you.
Yes,
make a little lookbook. Okay, so the next one. Oh, that is the next one. All right, so let's start talking about the garments I've made then. Okay. Didn't we have a vest? Did I skip the vest?
You've got a vest on.
I know, but I've got this vest. No, I guess not. Is there 12? Yeah, that's okay. I think it's on my desktop. I left it. All right. So I'm going to start with the vest because these vests are fabulous. So what I did on the vest is I used 2 pieces, just like Belinda's muslin. Well, that's not true. I guess I used the undercollar and the collar, but I did that out of fur. It's all just one layer. We've got a couple fabrics that will work beautifully. We've got a quilted black velvet and a quilted navy velvet. The black is 27.27 and the navy is 27.28. And we've got a coordinating navy, which is 27.29, which would be absolutely stunning. Just really pretty. I did 7.19, the blouse underneath there. I don't remember that fabric number. It's from last week. But anyway. And then because the trend is wearing a belted jacket or a belted vest, I took the belt and put it on the outside. I just love this look. With jeans, depending on how long your vest is, with leggings, it is such a contemporary great look that you can't go wrong. A little bit of faux fur, a little bit of quilting. The French dart brings that quilting into where it fits beautifully. I just love it. Just absolutely love it. See, it's just a great look. Sews really easily. With that velvet and the back side is this nylon, that would be a great reversible.
Great.
Yeah, great reversible idea. All right. So easy enough. There we go. Questions on that one? I will tell you what I love about these is these frickin' pockets. And I'm not a pocket person, but for some reason when there's pockets in a jacket and they're nice and usable, I just really like them. All right, so that's that one. So then what I'm going to do is I want to talk a little bit of, I'll probably show you my short little pink fur, but I haven't finished it, but I love it. So this is the little yellow one that we showed you. It's going to be. But I haven't, I've still got to put the facing and the lining in. Everything else is done, just not the facing and the lining. Can I tell you I love it? I put it on, I love it. So now with this one though, I want you to pay attention to proportions because this coat is shorter than the sleeve. So again, if you use the sleeve kind of as a barometer, the sleeve here would be, or the jacket is probably about 4 inches shorter than the sleeve. So what you want to do, again, is you can cut them a little bit longer. I actually shortened the pattern 13 inches. So that's quite substantial. Mm-hmm. I knew the numbers were right, but even when it came to 13 inches, I thought that's quite a bit. But once you hem this, it'll be the short little cute coat that I want. Would you go back, Benjamin, to the yellow jacket, the first one? Because I want you to notice this jacket and notice the jacket itself is shorter than the sleeves. So that jacket is probably a 1-to-1, just FYI. And as long as you get that proportion right, you'll look the same height she is, regardless of your height in real life. No center back seam on the vest. Yeah, I think I did, didn't I? Nope. Mm-hmm. Took it away. Put the center back seam on a fold. How'd you finish the armhole on the black quilted vest? Excuse me. I literally serged it with black thread and left it because it looked so good. On this vinyl or nylon, whatever it is, when you stitch it with a serger, it kind of gives a little puckered look, and I really liked it. I really liked it.
It would help keep the bulk from away from the armhole too.
Well, this turns though, and it doesn't really. It's surprisingly unbulky. But yeah, however, either way you want to do it is fine. New to your channel. What do the numbers of the fabrics mean? Thanks for watching and welcome. All of the fabrics have a number. They have a name, but they also have a number. So if you hit on any fabric, and if you look at the URL, which is that thing that comes up in the search bar, the last 4 digits are the fabric number. And so as you're watching a webcast, you can just change those last 4 numbers as I give the numbers, and then hit enter, and it'll bring you to the fabric I'm talking about, which is why I give you the fabrics. I get a lot of fabric pattern questions, is the best way to say it. And I think that it's exciting to me to get those questions because I think that when, we've been doing this for a while now, 20 plus years, And I noticed all the questions were about fitting. Now I think that we've had, and that we're having such great success with fitting, we're moving into combining fabrics and patterns together. And that is challenging a lot of times, especially today's fabric scene is so, I guess I can say exciting, but it's also intimidating. There is a lot of, excuse me, I've got a cold, you guys, just a minute. There are so many fabrics out there. They're beautiful. But I think that that's where shopping really comes into play also, because if you like something, you look at it and say, why do I like it? And how can I duplicate what I like and stay away from what I don't like? So to have the awareness of fabrics and patterns and how they go together and why they go together, I think is kind of a really good journey to be on.
But I think one of the things you have taught us is that when you find that fabric that you love, pick it up and take it home.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I know I've gone out shopping for fabric, and just like the little cover that I wore in today, I bought this for something else.
You gotta put it on. It's so cute, you guys. She was so cute before we made her get this muslin trench on.
You know, I bought the fabric because I wanted to make this.
She'll change. We'll show her off a little bit. Because you wanted to make what?
I knew that when I saw this fabric, this is what I wanted because I knew the pattern.
Oh.
And
so
getting to know the pattern helps. But there are times that I buy fabric and I get it home and it's like, I have something in mind, but then I make something totally different because when I get it home and I live with the fabric, that's not what I wanted. So
I'm a big believer, and you know, obviously we have that DVD, The Fabric Always Wins. I really, come on over here. I'm a big believer that the fabric is really the guide. You know, the guide. That's really what we should. Isn't she adorable? She shows up at my door, and this is how cute she looks. This is pattern number 95. It's called Brooks Top. Has a button. She just left that button off and just left it open. Turned around, has a little yoke on the back. It's just adorable. It's really cute.
And I loved it. I loved both sides of the fabric was why I bought it for this. Because I thought, well, it's going to drape just perfect for this.
It is. You're right. That was a home run.
This is my first one I ever made of this.
Really?
This is another one of those. No fitting.
Yeah, there's definitely not fitting.
No
this
fitting.
Is just fun. This was an outfit I saw, a top I saw in Neiman Marcus. $500 for this little thing.
Well,
just
there you
cute.
go.
I've made so many of those. Is the vest velvet? Is the vest velvet on the inside? This one is not, you guys, because I didn't use the fabric that's velvet. We sold a lot of it over the weekend. We don't have a lot left, and I hated to use up even more when I had something very, very similar to it. So this one is not out of that fabric. This is one I had. Okay? But it is velvet on one side, and it is nylon on the other side. It is reversible, and it's beautiful. We have it in black and navy. Please tell us how to finish the zipper top on the black vest. Well, literally, I just put it on and stitched it. I mean, I didn't do anything fancy. I literally just put the zipper underneath the edge. I serged the edge of the front, and then put the zipper underneath and top stitched it. I knew I didn't have to worry. I mean, even when it folds back, it looks pretty good. I knew I didn't have to worry about it. You know, I wasn't going to wear it without anything underneath, so I didn't, you know, it wasn't a big deal. Okay? You guys, I have to admit to you, I just absolutely love this pink furry jacket. Like, I just want to be petted. Whenever you're working with this, you guys, be careful that you can see that one way is one color and one way is another. That's called a nap. So just be sure when you're cutting it, it's all going the same direction. You don't want to be striped. It's just so pretty. That pink velvet fabric is $27.33. I called it a little shorty. Okay, so let's talk about what we want to talk. Well, this is a trench coat. I was going to bring up to you a fabric that that would be perfect for this beige trench, and sure enough, I came in this afternoon and that fabric was not available anymore. But for those of you who bought it, $24.29 was on sale. It's a great fabric. So we shipped, obviously, the end of it out this weekend, but it is terrific for it. So I decided to look among the sale fabrics to see what else would be great. $23.38. Look up that. That is a rag and bone. It's a vinyl. It's a print, and it's fabulous. It would be so amazing for a trench coat. It's just really, really cute. It's on sale for $8.99 a yard. It's adorable. All right. So the other thing, the big trend I told you that we're seeing underneath are those tie blouses. The other big trend is we're seeing, guess what? Crushed velvet. Ah, I love that. I love that. I love that. It's so pretty. We have several colors of this crushed velvet. They're all good. This one is, crushed velvet. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, you guys. Yeah, it's a mauve crushed velvet. Oh well. Oh well. Okay, but anyway, look in the crushed velvet. But all of these crushed velvets are so pretty, and they're knits.
2724.
Oh, how'd you find that so fast?
I keep you on my phone.
2724. 2724. Okay. You know, it would be a record. Just don't. But if somebody that was on the webcast actually ordered while they were on the webcast, that would be a first. All right, but anyway, I fell in love with the color. But they're just a simple top underneath, and I actually made it because I wanted it to wear it with
You're
this
beautiful
one.
With that.
Yeah, with this right here, which is the plaid that I want to talk about. Okay, so I want to bring this one out. You guys, these are all on wheels, but they're very, very heavy. Don't. That's good. They're just really, really heavy, so they're just slow to move. And they, you know, the last thing I want is for us to have a tip over. Okay, so I want to show you some stuff I did on this. This is what I used is 2586, and it's plaid, and I wanted to, it's kind of halfway put together because I wanted to show you the process of putting it together. The first thing I did, I'm gonna deconstruct it as I'm talking about this. I put the plaid belt going across the fabric because the body of the jacket went up and down, the selvage, and I wanted that to match as the belt went across. And it does. And if you'll notice on your very high-end trench coats that are plaid, those belts match, and that's how they do it. Isn't that cool? Okay, so we're going to take that off, and we're just going to, like I said, we're going to disassemble this whole thing. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start at the bottom, and you're going to, I just picked a solid, you know, the bottom of the solid, and I put both the front and the back on the bottom of the solid, and I cut them out. Remembering that you want this bar to come across about the middle of the sleeve. You want a thick bar like this. If you put it too high up, you won't get the whole thing. If you put it too low, you won't get the whole thing. So just like that Burberry trench that I showed you, you want that thick plaid to come right above the bust line, and that's what's going to come all the way across the body.
Would that be about the notch area?
It's a little higher than the notch.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really just so visually, it's about halfway between on the armhole. The notch is closer to like a third at the bottom. All right, so, and be sure, oh, I've got questions. I'm sorry. Let me jump to these questions just for a minute. Sorry if it's already covered, but is a double-breasted trench coat figure flattering? I have this pattern, afraid to look wide. I don't think it's the most flattering coat, to be honest. It's just so classic. I don't think it's not flattering. Anytime you go double-breasted, I'm going to talk about this here in just a minute. It's the placement of the buttons. So let me get back to that, how you can make it work if you close it. But I think by the time you get a coat on, I want you to think about flattering, but I want you to do it more in ways of color of the coat, things you wear with it, not necessarily the coat itself. The French dart will take out a lot of the bulk. But let's face it, like, we want to be warm, and trench coats are just, I don't know, they're fabulous. They're just fabulous. You guys know I'm pretty much into making you look your best all the time, but I would not leave a trench coat out for that reason. I really wouldn't. How do you make a trench coat single-breasted? It wouldn't be a trench coat. A trench coat is double-breasted. But you could take center front line, because it's marked on the pattern, and then just add your buttonhole extension and go from there. But again, I'm going to go over the parts of the trench coat, and it wouldn't be a trench coat that's single-breasted. Can you make the trench coat with just one flap? I'd like to do that. How do I change the pattern for it? Yeah. We'll get there. All right. Okay, let me go back to the plaids, and then I'll come back to the functionality of the trench coat. So here we are. We start at the bottom, and that's where we put it. I took 7 inches off the bottom of this particular one. I just really wanted it a car coat length, and so that's where I decided to go. Notice the length of my sleeve and the hand. If my hand came out of that sleeve, it could just grab the bottom, and that was the length I showed you in the photo. So that's what I was going after in this particular case. This one, if you notice, again, the collar doesn't match. It is on, I'm going to take it off, it's on straight grain on the center back of the collar. And when you're doing a plaid, you want to be careful to place the very center in the middle of the plaid so that by the time it comes around, both of those have the same amount on them and they both match. What you don't want to do on a plaid is have like a little bit on this side and a whole bunch on that side. That looks really bad. All you have to do to avoid that is to put the center back of the collar, and it's cut on a fold, put it in the middle of the bar. And remember, it's an even plaid, so as long as you put it in the center, it will open up beautifully to the front and look really, really pretty. But there's no matching to the jacket. It's just straight grain. And my whole purpose in showing you those previous pictures is so you could see it's not matched. You don't try to match it. Okay, then what I want you to see is this is the shield. And what the shield is for is, again, World War II is when the trench coat was introduced, and they were literally worn in the rain. And the reason for the double-breasted was to keep the rain out. And the single-breasted, the water's going to get in through the center, through the buttons. So they did a double-breasted to make sure they kept the rain out. And there's a shield on the left side because the buttons comes underneath the shield, and then it buttons here. And we're going to jump over to this for a minute. I'm going to show you here. This trench coat is done officially, every detail like it should be. And when this buttons here, this goes up to here. This button actually undoes. This one comes up here, and the shield buttons to this one. So there's actually, in the pattern, an extra little button right there that is double layers. So the purpose of the shield is as the rain would hit, it would roll off the body and wouldn't go inside the coat. And that's a really good thing when it's raining, okay? Mm-hmm. That's the purpose of that shield. And I guess because I know that and I love the history of the trench coat, I don't know, to have a shield on both sides, I just think it's being overdone. Same thing with the back. There's a shield on the back, and the purpose of that shield clearly is to keep the water off of the back. It's a double layer. You've got 2 layers and then the coat and everything else. All right, so having said that, though, we can modify it in so many different ways that we want to. It's our trench coat. If we're not going to wear a trench coat for the rain, we don't have to worry about it. But what I wanted to show you on a plaid is that shield comes in right at that top line, so you want to line it up this way as well as this way. And again, very easy to do. If you've already cut out the body, which is what you're going to do first, you just lay the little shield pattern piece, what I did. I laid it on the plaid. I just marked where it was, here and here, and took it back to the fabric and cut out. It's double, so make sure you're laying it on the left side, on the correct side, and it's double to the back, so you'll cut 2 layers, sew it. I top stitched it, and then there's a button. If you decide you want to do that, it comes over in buttons. But I honestly think even if you leave it open, it's just a great look. I love a shield. I think it just says trench coat. Mm-hmm. But how many pieces you decide to use is totally your call. The sleeve itself, it does not really matter what points you use to line it up to. I could use the underarm seam. I could use the notch. Don't use the top because there's easing in the top and that won't work. But as long as, again, I put the body of the fabric right onto the fabric where I've cut it out, I put the body of the front, and then I lay my sleeve beside it and use that point to cut. That's on the upper sleeve. When I go to do the undersleeve, wherever I have placed the bottom, I just place my undersleeve there as well so that the whole sleeve will align, and you can see my horizontals match as well. All right, really, it's not hard to do. It just takes a little bit of time, and when I'm sewing it, what I'll do is I'll baste the little plaids first. If they match, I sew the rest. If they don't, you take it out and you start again. You don't do it on the serger. You do it on the sewing machine, and you just baste, because then if it's right, you know, sewing things can shift very easily, very quickly. Even though they're pinned, they can still shift. So just have patience, do it until you're satisfied, and then go from there. I did want to point out the side seam, because when you have a French dart, the whole entire side seam will not match. And you are best to match the bottom, because your arm is here and no one will see underneath here. Where they will see is the bottom. So you want to match at the bottom, and then recognize that this is all beautifully done. By the time you have the French dart, the angles and the side seam come in, it looks really pretty. Okay? All right, I wanted to go to the other side because I did not sew this sleeve in, and I wanted you to look at that because of tie interfacing. It's been a while since I've talked about tie interfacing. I want you to understand what it is and what a beautiful job it does. Tie interfacing, we have it on the site. It's under Notions. It is bias strips. And when we cut those bias strips, I've got examples of it online. You're going to pull the bias as you baste in place. Mm-hmm. And it does, this is all that's been done to that sleeve. But you can see, whoops, camera, you're too close. You're fresh, I need to slap you. You're just too close. You can see that beautiful cap that it gives. He's trying to get in so you guys can see there. Thank you, sir. All right, it's gorgeous. Except I keep going on the camera and I keep going off the camera. But then you can see by the time there, I'm going to line that up. I'm going to line that big check across, and then I'm going to sew it into place. So you have one continuous line going all the way across the jacket, and then the sleeve matches the body going down. And it's just beautiful. The back, when you laid that, it was already matching. So all you have to do is sew it matching, okay? Because it's one thing, it's very easy, again, when you're sewing, to slip off when these are so small. So just be aware and cautious to kind of keep them on.
Now, are you cutting on single layer?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I know that as I have been cutting plaids, I know at one point you had suggested doing single layer.
This is a really good point.
Yeah,
this is a very
to do
good point.
A single layer, like cut this side first and then use that as your pattern to cut this side. It has made it so much easier for me to use plaids since you told us that. So
you can do that. Now with this though, this was a large plaid and it was so even that when I folded the fabric in half, I could clearly see
it all matched.
That it was all matching.
Okay.
Yes, lengthwise, widthwise, you can clearly see. If it's sticky fabric and you can't see that, be careful.
Yeah.
And the single layer is not a bad thing. But also keep in mind, you guys, that I would be patient with the process because, you know, look, I love this coat. I mean, I'm going to throw it on with jeans. I'm going to wear this for a long time. So to have patience, and, you know, Billy Burke, I know y'all probably don't know who she is, but she's older than I am, and I'm telling you what she taught me was to be patient with the process and enjoy the process. And that was not my personality. It's not who I am or was, but I've really learned that I love that now. I'm going to wear it for a long time, and I enjoy it, and I really have picked that up from her, to enjoy the process, what's the rush, and to kind of slow down and make sure those lines match, and to make sure that everything going across is beautiful and simple and looks nice. Again, it's really not difficult. It just takes a little thought to kind of think what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what you're going through. Well, with the French dart, do you keep the side seams? Oh, how do you keep the side seams aligned? You don't. You do at the bottom, but not up here. And don't think that you should match this and not this, because the whole thing will look crooked. Match below the French dart and let this go off. It has two different directions, and it's actually really pretty. It actually doesn't look like it doesn't match to me. It just simply looks like there's fit built into that seam. Do you always have the fabric waterproof for your trench coat? I don't. No, you can. The dry cleaners can waterproof it for you, but I don't. I think, again, to me, trench coats are just fun, and they're so fashionable. I don't even think about wearing them in the rain. And I live in Texas. When it's raining outside, I get wet. And I'm kidding. I get a coat on. Did you make machine or bound buttonholes? I did machine buttonholes for this. For this, there's a place in New York that does keyhole buttonholes. And I'll either, if I'm in New York, I'll take it to the place. It's called Jonathan's. It's on 38th Street. Jonathan's, JONATHANS. They'll literally, if you send them your garment and mark your buttonholes and tell them what kind of buttonholes and send them the button, they'll make the buttons and send them back to you. And the shipping will cost you more than the buttonholes. The buttonholes cost like $3. I mean, it's some ridiculous price. But they have machine keyhole buttonholes. They're beautiful. They're beautiful. If you're ever in New York, 38th Street, just go in. There's always a line because, everybody's always standing in line to get their buttonholes. They're beautiful. How much extra fabric would you need to match the plaids? I would add 1 yard. Just as a general rule, I would add a yard. To whatever you're making or whatever you're getting, throw in an extra yard. And my goal was, when you're making this kind of coat, to me, when you're making this type of coat, it's all about fashion. It's plaids, it's trench, it's everything that's in. It's pinks, everything that's in for fall. So when I'm wearing this is what I'm going to be wearing underneath. I actually picked up this top just so that I could wear them together. And it's not just new stuff, it's just great new stuff. So it's really fun to just look a little trendy on that and bring all those current trends together. Are you going to line the coat? I am. I've already got it. It's a royal blue, but it's a dark royal. Could you make this coat in a heavier weight fabric? Yes. And there's no weight limits to a trench coat. And I mean, if you look at that fabric I was talking about, that I thought would be fabulous, 2338, just look at it for reference. It's like paper thin. It's so thin, but it'd be so cute in a trench coat. How do you decide whether or not to put shoulder pads in? That's your call. It's what you decide. Like for me, I put a shoulder pad in because I live in Dallas, Texas. I'm not going to be wearing a coat underneath a trench coat. So I like the look of a shoulder pad, and they're not, massive in size, or I don't think they are. And so I just really like how it falls off of a shoulder pad. I think it makes us look thinner. I think it makes us look younger. It brings up the shoulders a little bit and all those kind of little things. What? Benjamin's laughing. Do you ever use a walking foot when sewing plaids and stripes? I don't use a walking foot. I actually just put one hand behind and one hand in front, and I pull as I'm going. So one hand behind, one hand in front. I would remove all differential feeds, remove all of that, and just go as you're moving along. All right, so the last outfit I didn't talk about was the one I have on, and I love it. So can I tell you that dusters are really stylish for fall? I know I mentioned that a couple weeks ago. Dusters are everything, you guys, and so this is the trench coat. I used the front. I made it sleeveless. It's just a vest. The front, the back, and then the collar. No finish on anything. It's just serged and left. I did the sweater set underneath, same fabric, and then put it on with jeans. All right, and I just love it. You could belt it on the outside if you wanted to. I chose to belt it on the inside. And this longer length, I just love it. You can do knee length. I didn't. I took it all the way to the floor. So it's just kind of fun. Yeah, I really like it. Just comfortable, really different. The fabric I was going to suggest for that was 2683. It's perfect. It's like it's a dark denim gray stretch. It's so comfy. It's the cutest fabric imaginable. 2683. All right, so I think, I want to mention one more fabric for a trench coat, and that's 2731. Again, just kind of look at it. Let me know what you think. I just think it would be perfect. The leopard fur is 2726. That was the whole reason I put this on. This is not exactly the leopard fur that we have, but it's the same type of thing. This is a trench coat I'd made before, and I love it. And when you do fur, you don't want to do heavy amounts. Obviously, it's up to you how much you do. I just did the shield and then the back. I don't know. I might do the lapel. It's just your call. And the other one was that there's a 2674. It's a taupe fur. It's also beautiful for little collars. We've got the black fur for that. I don't have the number on that. Oh, I do too. Sorry. Black faux fur, $27.32. All right, so whether you use 2 pieces, 4 pieces, there's 28 pieces in the trench coat, but don't feel like you have to make them all or wear them all. The goal is to just make them cute and fun. And I have a whole bevy of coats now. Between Megan's coat that we did last time, I'm just so ready for it to be cold outside so I can flip on a different coat, like daily almost. Exactly what is a duster? A duster is just an open, long
vest.
Yeah, a duster can actually have sleeves to it, but it's just kind of a long, open, hangy. Mm-hmm. It's a terrible definition. You might want to Google that.
I don't think of the movie Tombstone.
There you go. I don't think I was ready for the question, so I hadn't Googled duster. But it's just really, it's cute. I've seen them a lot in, I've gone to a couple fashion shows recently, and I've seen them several times in fashion shows. They're in the stores currently, and they're knee length, and they're longer. So, like I said, I just really like them. What does the one behind you look like? The one behind me. I don't know. All right, so that's our trench coat. You're ready? Are you ready, you guys? You have everything you need. You have the fit, which is a no-brainer. So the good news is, thank you, Belinda.
Yes.
We can have all of our fun with styling. We don't have to worry about the fit. And come on, I want to rock and roll and have some amazing trench coats. All right? Come on in, Belinda. Thank you. Thanks for making the muslin.
Yes.
She always shows up. On time, ready. It's really nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So from all of us, you guys, behind the scenes, in front of the camera, we've got some remote tonight. All right. Thanks for being here. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.